Islam, Dwayne Byfield Bay. Islam. It is um it is approximately 1 a.m. and it's the 11th of July. I woke up this morning and I went to sleep about 8:30 and I woke up now. It's 1 a.m. What I wanted to talk about real quick is I was telling Imani, being knowing that we are among others that are not like us, but they have this code that causes them to be telepathic. Some of them are born with it, and some of them are souls that chose to accept the code or were forced to accept the code. I was thinking about how the different wars that were being shown on TV, CNN, NBC News, in different parts of Africa, the countries in Africa, um, things that happened in China, the ancient wars that happened there, Japan. So I was trying to put two and two together and seeing with my eyes open now, knowing that we are among others that don't have a soul, but they are a spirit. They're telepathic. They have the code that causes them to be telepathic. And how aggressive these soulless spirits are, especially when trying to force amalgamate and saying that they paid to do so. I think about how when I'm out as a soul, I'm out walking, and my genitals are attacked. So this is dealing with, once again, extraterrestrial, outer space, science. And I say that because to be telepathic artificially, that's a science that that came about and thought of beyond our average thoughts, and to distribute this science among masses, among the population, not just here in this landmass, but globally. It's truly when you hear people say the Illuminati or we're taking over, that sort of thing, and seeing how this science, Imani Gray-Bey and I, we reject the science that calls masses to be telepathic. But obviously, there's energy. We reject the science. There's energy in everything. There's a spirit and energy in the trees, spirit and energy in food. I am a spirit, energy, a soul. My thoughts are spirit, or I should say energy. The water is a spirit. Water is a spirit. Fire is a spirit. Excuse me, I'm waking up thinking this, so my face is puffy. That science, however it came about, that's a spirit, Islam. And for that form of science to be forced upon some souls, it's like either you accept this science and be among this society to eat, to provide for your family so you can work, to force amalgamate with unclean spirits, or you perish, you transition. That's prophecy within itself. And that is not of freedom, and it's not of Allah. What I find interesting is there's always this unclean spirit that looked to be from Mexico or India, attacking mentally. I remember, I'm connecting the dots. So let me get back. So if I'm out, look to be either from Mexico, India, or the Middle East, attacking. I remember hearing some black Negro males as they talk in front of me. All of a sudden, all of a sudden a visual appear of this filth attacking that looked to be from Mexico, India, or the Middle East, mentally. And I might hear a bird squawking, a bird somewhere. All right? Because I also brought up the military, the Navy, and the Army. Then all of a sudden, the black Negro male might look at me and say, because they're talking to one another. And then, but in their conversation, they're using code words. And when that spirit, that unclean spirit, start to attack visually, they'll look at me and say, let us get it off of you. So what they're doing is using a form of forced amalgamation, hopefully through fear. Because that Negro black creature or species is trying to force amalgamate, being used as property. It's not the same as me, as a soul. So sometimes when I'm out, I can see that my genitals are being attacked, or when I'm laying here asleep, my genitals are attacked spiritually. My dreams can be mentally engaged, manipulated. I have to wake up quickly. And so when I'm out and my genitals are attacked spiritually, or a forced mental engagement, there are young children around. A lot of times I'm in the grocery store. I am a soul. And so these children, whether they're pale skinned, the black, Negro, African, they could be from India, they're watching, and they have this code. They were either born with it. A lot of them are young, so they look like they were possibly born with it. You can tell with the babies, they're 1, 2 years old, they're running around and they're looking at me in that specific way to let me know that they can see what's going on. They're telepathic. That doesn't, so they to be able to create another species of such on a mass level does not mean they have a soul, because man cannot create a soul. Allah can only create a soul. So they know, these children, they know they're different. And not only that, they're watching and seeing a soul who is not like them being molested spiritually, attacked mentally. They hear those that are unclean, that are adults, that have no soul. They know that there's a form of breaking down. They see them trying to force amalgamate, like as a slave. And they're like, oh, this is what we have to do. We have to force amalgamate. We are the males, the Negro black, they call themselves brothers. Or the Mexican. So this is getting back to the different wars that were shown on TV in different parts globally, all over the earth. In different parts of Africa, where it's Sudan, different in Asia. I'm thinking about how this is dealing with souls fighting to not amalgamate, in many cases, with this soulless species that is created. Now, just because something is different from you does not make it evil. It doesn't make it less than you. But when it is created specifically to force amalgamate as a slave, because trying to break that line of consciousness, through that forced amalgamation within itself lowers a vibration within that person, that soul, and within the earth. That sends a vibration, energy to the universe. And remember, Dwayne, it's not about, it's always about how an energy is created. Love, there's many forms of love. But love can be directed to your lower self. You could be having sex, Kama Sutra. I know some of the Washita Moors, they're really good at knowing how and learning and teaching other Moors how to have sex with their wives or girlfriends so they can reach that peak of pleasure. But without knowing and having knowledge of your highest self and perfecting that knowledge of your highest self, that highest self of love, righteous, virtue, compassion, is no different. That is just another form of love connected to your lower self. You're enjoying the pleasures of this physical plane. So you can be a wife and a husband, a couple, but still have not learned how to direct the love towards your highest self. And then when you are challenged, you fall short as a couple. Challenged in morality, righteousness, you fall short. Because you learned how to direct the love towards your lower self. Like some couples might deal in demonic rituals, sacrificing other souls, deceit. Maybe Moors are trying to be entrepreneurs and they're selling merchandise that is not real or not good or whatever. They're just thinking about the money. Maybe they see a specific situation going on in the nation, and instead of saying, I can't do this, this is not of my righteous mind, they partake in these acts of deceit and harm because they have not learned or been taught to perfect attuning to the highest self. The highest self. They have focused on the lower self and directing that energy of love towards the lower self. Those genitals. That lower chakra. And because they obligated to one another or was married, however you want to put it, like this or whatever, it put a facade that it's all right. But it's not. There's been many cases where you have couples who either fall short together, or one separates because they start to change and grow and leave the other behind. So once again, I'm getting back to the present day. So I think when I think about the wars that happen in Sudan and different parts, Cameroon, Kenya, what was publicized in South Africa, Asia, places in Europe, or you want to say in Europe, where they were melanated, but they lighter than I am, but they have a soul. But there was an ethnic cleansing going on. They call it ethnic cleansing. I think about what we are among, and knowing what we are among, this soulless energy that is aggressive in trying to force amalgamate, where they use the word we pay. We pay to do this. So if I'm out as a soul, a spirit, and my genitals are being molested spiritually and harm is being caused to me spiritually, and the young ones, these children, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13 years old, have this science that makes them telepathic. They were born with it. And they can see mentally what's going on. And not only that, It's in the universe, it's in the atmosphere. This is what you do to a soul, because you are not like them. She or he are different from you. That energy, that spirit is not of the highest stuff of Allah, but it is prophecy, and prophecy is Allah. So Allah has demonstrated and has prepared us as souls of this moment, of this time. So I'm bringing this to the present day. Just because I do not want, or a soul do not want to amalgamate with the so-called brother, because I know that they're different, and I see the children who are being raised and reared up to make themselves feel special, because they are telepathic and they are good with computers and they are pushed and they're skillful, because this science gives them a boost in intelligence. But they don't understand the importance of purity and the higher self. They don't have a soul. Just because a soul does not want to force amalgamate, have children, mix their consciousness, their line with it, does not make them racist. Because love is connected to freedom. Freedom to love and make choices. That is part of the 5 divine principles that are taught in our Moorish American nation. That is part of the old time religion, understanding the complexities of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That is old time religion. Ancient I am. And these thoughts that are flowing through my mind are ancient. The importance of knowing the connection to the higher self is ancient. And demonstrating it is not beast-like animalistic thoughts, demonic ritualistic thoughts. When I'm on the conference call in Moorish American National Republic at 12 p.m., I see and hear the children, and I know they're different. They have the code. So these are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. They have the code. They're born with it. So in the nation, there are Moors that call themselves Moors who have corrected their status, who have had children that have this science. Not only that, so they could either been souls that accepted the science, or they never had a soul in the first place, but they have been able to be accepted within the Moorish American nation. So when I'm listening to the conference call and my genitals are spiritually attacked, or mentally I am spiritually attacked, these children that are listening on the conference call, and they're tuning in because they have that science that gives them that boost of intelligence. They see and they watch. And they're like, oh, this is law. This is law. She's not like us and we're not like her. And it's giving them a false sense of superiority, because the word God, act like a God, is projected towards them. A false sense, very false, of superiority. But yet they do not understand the importance of the highest self and how to demonstrate that purity of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And how could they understand if they're watching adults that are considered to be masters demonstrate and direct that energy of love towards the lower self? Freedom. They don't see it. They see the word LAW being pushed in front of that divine principle of freedom, a form of law. But as an ancient soul, I know that old time religion is Islamism. It is that energy, those divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So, Dwayne Barfield Bay, what I am getting at, there is no difference when I'm on a conference call and my spirit, my gentles are being molested or I'm being attacked mentally, to where I'm out in the street and and these children, same children that are on a conference call with the science, I hear Sheikah specify or point out the word brother while she's talking to some of the young males, than the ones that are on the street watching and observing. Dwayne Barfield Bay, in the Middle East, I think about the wars there. So what I'm getting at, I don't know how you made your money, how you became a billionaire, a millionaire, but I see a connection to this science that caused masses to be telepathic. And in this connection with this science, Islam, there is a connection with nations. Nations that have children who or souls that have been probably forced to amalgamate with energies that are not like them, and to accept this science of telepathy, and to breed and have children, or a form of a child, to create a new generation, a species of a new generation. Force, which does not include freedom. You cannot have bondage and freedom in the same atmosphere. So when I think about you and how brilliant you are in science, and you claim to be from Mars, which I believe you are, I wonder, in the science of telepathy, were you involved in that creation? Especially with the connection globally with other spirits. A lot of them seem to be unclean spirits. I wonder, I'm being honest, because that same energy I see flowing within the Moorish American nation in reference to them demonstrating their lower self and not the higher self. And in this is prophecy being prophesied. And this is Allah. But Allah is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is in everything and also in prophecy. I'm just going to leave it at that. Islam.